So next up, we've got 8 rounds at lightweight between Sofiane OUMIHA and this man, Edivaldo Ortega. Very experienced, 31 wins, 2 defeats, 1 draw. The defeats have come against undefeated fighters, one by stoppage. The wins are solid, nothing spectacular. Last fight was a 3rd round TKO last June in Tijuana against Ruben Garcia. Sofiane OUMIHA 5-0 as a pro now, 3-3 in IBA.PRO. A fantastically gifted fighter, a 3-time IBA world champion, 2-time Olympic silver medalist. He was so close in Paris on home turf in a fantastic final against Herzegovina Alvarez of Cuba. Lost by split decision. Couldn't quite make that dream of winning gold in France become real, but maybe he'll be back for another try in LA. He's been to 3 Olympics already.
Dolazi iz Meksika, iz Tijuane, Baja, Kalifornija, 34 godine, 169 cm visok, 173 cm raspon ruku, na merenju juče 62,2 kg. A sada slušajte ovaj impresivan učinak, 31 pobjeda, od toga 15 nokautom, samo 2 poraza i 1 nerešen. Edivaldo Ortega. A u zlatnom oglu iz Toulouse, Francuske, 30 godina, 178 cm, 175 raspon na ruku, na merenju 62 kg. Bez poraza u profesionalnim vodama, 5 mečeva, 5 pobjeda. Trostruki šampion sveta, 2 puta srebrni s olimpijskih igara u Rio de Janeiro i u Parizu, Sofiane OUMIHA. Sudijska trojka se igra Žurko Rusija, Zdravko Milojević, Republika Srpska i Bagrat Jan Armenija. Valerij Paslukov, Moldavija, sudija, da vidimo šta će poručiti. Mi komet. Čekaj. Good luck.
Valerij Paslukov, the referee, the schedule for 8 in the lightweight division. OUMIHA in the white, Ortega in the black. Tall fighter, OUMIHA, always boxed at 60, 63.5 in the amateurs and world championships. It's been 60 in the Olympic Games. The alterations to the weight divisions has caused him to have to go up, which has made his exploits all the more impressive, particularly in the last Olympics, getting to that final against Herzegovina Alvarez. And he's still only 30 years old, so he absolutely could look to try and finally get that gold medal in Los Angeles in 2028. Ortega a southpaw. Looking to use that lead hand here. OUMIHA. Ortega reluctant so far really to commit. Steps in there and leads off with the right. Right hand to the body there from OUMIHA. into the final minutes of round 1. They're scheduled for 10. OUMIHA able in this opening round to keep things on the outside, which is what he'll look to do. Left hand slightly closer up there from the Frenchman. Ortega has got to try and get inside that reach. And bell goes at the end of the opener.
Tonight, tournament is proudly brought to you by Bet City, one of the leading bookmakers. In the Bet City mobile app, you'll find an extensive range of betting options and some of the bet odds on any sporting event. Choose Bet City and feel the thrill of the game.
So into the second round. And he's got that languid kind of style, OUMIHA. He wastes very little energy. He's lovely and loose. And just kind of touching Ortega at range at the moment. Just offsetting him as he's looking to let that left hand go. For the most part, though, he's just trying to tuck up and stay tight. OUMIHA with a right hand into the body. And then turns around that front foot. And then just snaps a harder looking right hand down the middle. He's good at that, just ferrying up the volume, or rather the weight of punch. He's just tapping every now and again. Literally before that, he just touched Ortega on his right glove with the left hand, and then just whipped that right hand, just rattled it down the middle. Right hand into the body. Made a solid noise as it landed there from OUMIHA. The problem that Ortega has got is that whilst he's not really in any great trouble here, he lost the first round and he's losing this round. Left hook there from OUMIHA, feints the jab upstairs and then goes down to the body, and he cannot just let this continue or the rounds will just slip by and all of a sudden he'll find himself a long way down. It's a very easy thing to do. You're not in any massive discomfort. You feel like you're in the fight, but you're losing the rounds. And once OUMIHA is allowed to just find that groove, find that rhythm, it's very difficult to knock him out of it. So Ortega, sooner rather than later, has got to try something here. Right hand lead there from OUMIHA. It does really depend that though on the level of his ambition here. He'll know that he's in with somebody who's got 3 World Championship gold medals, 2 Olympic silver medals, undefeated as a pro. And as good as his record is, Ortega, he's not really been in with particularly tough opposition. So the bell goes at the end of round 2. So into the third. And can Ortega just try and make a little bit of a mark in this round? I don't know what the corner has been saying to him, but as I was saying, it's easy against someone like OUMIHA just to end up fighting their fight. You can become slightly mesmerised by them. The fight's not at a particularly high pace. He doesn't seem to be doing all that much a lot of the time, but he's catching you. And he's piling up the points and he's winning the rounds. And Ortega has got to try and break that mould, even if it means leaving himself a little bit more open. You've got to try and put someone like OUMIHA under pressure, particularly over this longer duration. Try and make him fight at a high pace and see what happens. The one draw for Ortega came back in his fourth fight. He's been a pro a really long time. He turned professional back in 2007 when he would have been 16, 17 years old. That's not unusual in Mexico. It's unusual if a fighter doesn't turn pro, to be perfectly honest, at 17, 18 years of age as soon as you possibly can. They haven't had too many fighters take that Olympic route down the years. Oscar Valdez would be one. Was a double Olympian. Francisco Vargas was another one from recent times, but they're relatively few and far between. Good right hand there from OUMIHA, and then just steps in with a left to the body. Ortega just driven back to the ropes here. Just putting his punches together a bit here now, OUMIHA. Quickening up those feet, looking to cover off the movement of Ortega. Goes down to the body again and tries to go over the top with the right. Ten seconds remaining in round three. Decent looking left hand there from Ortega, but OUMIHA's done some good work in that round. Let his hands go with some real spite around about the start of that final minute.
Sponsor of our tournament. BetCity offers a wide variety of betting marks on all sports, exclusive bets, and fast payouts. Sign up on the BetCity website or mobile app and enjoy the game.
And that was the follow-up. He caught him with a nice strong right hand with that good strong right, then pushed him back to the ropes and really dug to the body. And that could pay off in the later rounds. Ortega just trying to get on the front foot a little bit more at the start of round four than he has done in previous rounds. And as I've been saying, I don't think that's a bad idea at all, but again there just goes quite voluntarily to the ropes. OUMIHA switching southpaw very briefly back to orthodox, and he's good at just manoeuvring his man around the ring. Does tend to lean in. Good right hand there again though. He's a bit slow with that left when he throws at Ortega, and OUMIHA, he's got quicker hands, just went in over the top of it. And I wouldn't be surprised if Oumiha does take it up closer, because he'll know that he'll get opportunities there. He can pick him off from the outside, but Ortega will be more tempted to engage at this kind of range and leave some gaps. Left hand into the body there from Ortega was a tidy enough punch. Again, just distracting with that lead hand, and then just goes to the stomach with it. Dips his knees, right hand into the body, and then explodes. That's where he just looks to try and really raise the tempo, up the pace. The weight of punch changes dramatically, and that's how you can catch a fighter and do some damage. Because he might not be braced for it, Ortega. Just turning neatly around that front foot there, Oumiha, bringing some good pressure to Ortega in this round. Looking for the uppercut, didn't quite find it. Ortega, to give him credit, is looking to try and get onto his front foot. Left hand there from Oumiha. Ortega took it well. Looking for the uppercut there, Oumiha, and then on the retreat, just setting those feet and throwing the 1-2. And Ortega is showing a pretty solid chin so far. So into the fifth, Oumiha in the white, Ortega in the black, and Oumiha is winning these rounds. He's dictating terms, dictating the pace, controlling the distance. And you look at the use of that lead left hand there, he's tip-tapping, pushing with it sometimes, whips it in a little bit harder at others. And then backs up and throws that right with some real purpose. Again, just timed that left hand there, Oumiha. Ortega's defence has been pretty good for the most part. He hasn't been hit absolutely flush that often, and when he has been caught clean, he's taken it well. Right hand into the body. Good combination there from Oumiha. Ortega looked to come forward. Oumiha just pulled his feet out, and the Mexican lost his balance slightly, but he's still trying to get onto that front foot. He's definitely at the stage of the fight now, Ortega. I said it a couple of rounds ago, but he's definitely there now where he's got to try something a bit different. He cannot just keep allowing rounds to go as they have, because he's 4-0 down. And soon enough we'll be halfway. And then a round after that, you're 6-0 down and you need knockdowns. Oumiha aiming an uppercut but didn't land it. He wasn't far away with it though. There's that right hand, that pull back right hand, kind of lay back right hand if you like. He's waiting for Ortega to come, shifts his weight onto his back foot, then rocks off it and throws that right. Into the final 30 seconds. And again, just putting his hands together nicely on the inside there, OUMIHA. Ortega continues to come. There's the uppercut. There's just a big gulf between these two in terms of ability. That's what we're looking at here. And I don't think there's necessarily all that much Ortega can do about this other than kind of go for broke, really. Try and get on top of OUMIHA and test him that way. Now that may well leave him open. It might be a bit gung-ho, it might be a bit reckless. Maybe we'll see him try that right towards the end of the fight rather than now, but at the moment those superior boxing skills of OUMIHA's are doing the business for him. So we go into the second half of the fight. This scheduled for 10 between Sofiane OUMIHA in the white and Edivaldo Ortega in the black. The fighters that he's been up against in his 3 Olympic Games. OUMIHA stand testament to what a good fighter he is, because Robson Conceição beat him in the final in Rio, boxing on home turf, of course. He ran into Keyshawn Davis in Tokyo, who lost that thrilling final to Andy Cruz. And then in 2024 was back in the final himself and up against Cuba's latest sensation in Erislandy Alvarez. Huge success outside of the Olympics, though, of course, 3 times, and IBA world champion, a European Games champion. Big name in France. Looking for the uppercut there, OUMIHA was slightly short with it. Ortega just sticking to his plan. Staying compact, staying tight for the most part, and when he does get caught like he did there, he's taking these shots without any particular problem at the moment anyway. Just looking for that right hand over the top there, OUMIHA. Got nice and low. I think Ortega probably felt like that right was coming into the body, and then he tried to get it over the top, but Ortega is doing a good job most of the time of keeping that guard intact. Landed a good left hand there, actually, as OUMIHA was looking to try and open out a bit into the last 30 seconds of round 6. Left hand was pretty much bang on the belt, but got a good distance there, OUMIHA. Good purchase. Good biting point on those punches. 4 rounds to go here, and he's in the position now, Ortega, that I described a few rounds ago. 6 rounds in, he's 6-0 down, and he needs knockdowns now. And it's easy for me to sit here and say that he needs to try and change it up and do something different because he's in with a really good fighter. But if he wants to try and win this fight, then that is what he has to try and do. If he's come here more to give a good showing, he's boxing outside of Mexico. He knows he's in with a standout IBA star. If he wants to come and show people that he's a good, seasoned, all-round fighter, because maybe that'll lead to some more work, then fair enough. That is fair enough. But that will make it difficult for OUMIHA really to do any more than he's doing at the minute, because if he's going to do some damage to Ortega, he needs Ortega to come and fight. Take a few more risks. Looking to try and really get some rotation into that left hand there, OUMIHA, but it just made it a little bit obvious what was coming. He'd set his feet, it was just at the right range, and you could see Ortega was expecting it. Watching for the coil and resulting uncoil. I think he should just keep going down to the body, OUMIHA. Ortega's in good condition, but it doesn't matter how many crunches you do. At some point, one well-placed body shot can sink anyone. He can take a shot to the head, that much we absolutely know. Just keep working that body, because there is space. You look at those elbows there, they do flare away from the rib cage a bit. There is some room down there. There's that right hand over the top, but Ortega just dabbing his eyebrow there, actually. I wonder if the heads came together slightly, or whether he was just checking if there was any kind of a cut. I don't think there is. Again, that's good distance there from OUMIHA. That's really where he can generate optimum power. You can see him set those feet, dig those toes in. And when I talk about biting point, boxers reckon that the punch lands with its maximum impact at about 80% extension. It can be different for different people, but that's where they feel that maximum moment of impact is, because the arm's still got a little bit of distance to go, so you end up really punching through the target, but you've given yourself time to generate that power. Well, there goes the bell, and he's toughing this out, Ortega, and credit to him for that, because as we've been saying, he's an organised fighter. And you can see that there's a bit of blood coming out of the end of the nose there. There's a slight swollenness to the face because he's taken some good shots. And they're just having a word with him in the corner there. You see him spit into the bucket. There's some blood coming out there. Some blood in the mouth. That could be from a number of different things. A bit of damage to the inside of the lips from punches from his own teeth. That can happen sometimes. Mouth is hanging slightly open. It gets slammed shut by a punch. You bite down on your lip or your tongue even. So he's got 8.5 more minutes to get through here, Ortega, and that's what this is about. He wants to go the distance, and he wants to show people that he's a decent fighter, that he's a tough fighter, that he's a good pro, and he is showing us that. It's just unfortunate for the spectacle that he isn't able to offer a bit more, because he can't really test OUMIHA. For OUMIHA, this is like a spar, really. He's dictating the pace, he's dictating terms, he's punching really when he wants to punch. And I wonder if in the last couple, maybe not quite yet, but in the last couple, particularly in the last round, he might really put his foot to the floor and just let those hands go, because the only way that I could see him getting a stoppage here, and I don't think he'll be obsessed with that by any stretch, but the only way you can really see it happening is just through sheer volume of unanswered punches, where the referee is just forced to step in and stop it because there's nothing really coming back. And although OUMIHA has put some good combinations together, put some good spells together, at no point has he really kept that foot on the gas and looked to work Ortega over and try and break him, really. Maybe he feels it can't be done. He's up close there with him. Into the final minute of the 8th round. Right hand seemed a bit low there. The referee, though, had a good view and didn't make any kind of comment. So 2 to go here. After this, we've got 4 rounds between Ratko Simic and Murad Aliverdeyev. That is a good matchup. And then the IBA World Bantamweight title fight between Sara Čurković and Roman Mulej. Čurković, a Serbian fighter, comes from the same region that we're in here in Banja Luka. So it's a home fight for her, really. It's her pro debut too. Got to the semi-finals of the Women's World Championships earlier this year in Niš. So picked up a bronze medal there. Roman Mulej got a gold medal at the under-22s a few years ago, and a quarter-finalist at the World Championships in 2023. So into the 9th, and Sofiane OUMIHA, as I said, has got a little bit of a decision here. Does he want to really step on the gas and see if he can get to Edivaldo Ortega, or is he just going to box out these last couple of rounds and take what I'm pretty confident will be a 10-round win? Setting his feet here and looking to let those hands go. Maybe this will be that spell of sustained pressure. Ortega looking to try and tuck up, but he's getting battered to the body there Right hand into the pit of the stomach, a left hand up top. And is he just showing signs that he might be about to wilt here, Ortega? Not really, to be honest. But he needs to go again here, UMIHA. We're only a minute into the round. Tries to really whip in that right. Digging down to the body. Tried the uppercut. That didn't land. Left hook did. And Ortega just hasn't really got time to punch back here. Combination crashed down the middle, but he goes off the ropes and then into the other corner. He's trying to just punch UMIHA off him. Midway through the round, UMIHA maybe just pausing for a slight breather, then looks to rip into another left hook because he's put a lot into this round so far. Nice left hand there from UMIHA. Well disguised. He dipped off to his right hand side and then just managed to flick it over the top. 30 seconds remaining in round 9. Scything down with that right there, UMIHA. Didn't quite manage to land it. He had his most success in this round when really he just looked for volume. He got himself into punching range and then just let his hands go, knowing that although they might not all land clean, they would all hit something. When he's backed off a little bit further and looked to try and land that perfect haymaker, if you like, then that's looked less likely to happen. But it is impressive from Ortega because UMIHA is digging his toes in and hitting him as hard as he physically can here. And Ortega is standing up to it. He's got 3 more minutes of it. And I hope we do see him make it through to the final battle. I'm pretty confident we will because he's earned it.
Poslednja runda, dame I gospodo, runda broj 10, last round, ladies and gentlemen.
And that was the really sustained pressure in the first half of the round. And I wonder will UMIHA just go for that again, or maybe have a little bit more of a look for a minute and then for 2 minutes to see if he can up it. Because the amount of punches that Ortega has taken, sometimes you see fighters soak it up, soak it up, soak it up until all of a sudden they just can't do it anymore and one punch gets through. Often it can be a body shot if they've taken a lot of body work throughout the course of the fight and they just break. In that moment they just break and that willpower just goes. Just digging to the body here, UMIHA, again and again. Falls in as he just stabs to the stomach with that right hand. Is this a plan maybe? First minute or so, just go to that body, go to that body. Try and get him to really slow down and then unload. This is good methodical stuff, which maybe we could have seen a few rounds ago, a little bit earlier, but actually in fairness to him, he's worked pretty hard from about round 4 or 5 onwards. He's worked pretty hard, UMIHA. In the early stages he was having more of a look, but even then towards the later stages of the round he was looking to try and turn the screw a bit. they were a bit low. Those two right hands. The second one landed around about the top of the thigh, I think. Into the final minute. And it's been decent enough to watch this, because you're going through it just wondering whether someone like OUMIHA can find a way. He's very, very good, and you would always back him to just maybe find a way, but Ortega has been good enough to make sure that that hasn't happened, and he has come here to get through the rounds. He's the away corner fighter, but you have to be sensible, and he obviously felt that if he opened out too much, if he was too ambitious, maybe a little bit reckless, then this could all go wrong. He's come here really to go the distance, and he's going to achieve that. 10 seconds. Nice right hand over the top there from OUMIHA. Bell goes. Touch of gloves between the two. And that is a wide win for Sofiane OUMIHA. He won all 10 rounds there. I don't think anybody could really score it any other way. But I tip my hat to Edivaldo Ortega, because that wasn't easy. At no point did he look like he was going to wilt, but other fighters, less durable fighters, would have done. And he worked hard, he kept the tempo high throughout the course of that fight, so it's a good solid 10 rounds for him.
Edivaldo Ortega, Sofiane OUMIHA, vidjet ćemo šta kažu sudije. Dakle, posle 10 rundi, naše sudije su bile jednoglasne i pobjeda ide u zlatni ugao. Sofiane OUMIHA.
OUMIHA gets it on points. That was never in any doubt. He won every round. Put a shift in, but couldn't find any weakness in Edivaldo Ortega. He very much earned his money tonight.
Pozdravimo ponovo naše borce. Sjajna predstava, zaista. Hvala.